Kia ora, good evening. 6 people were lucky to escape from a fire that ravaged a brick and rough cast home in Invercargill's Georgetown last night. The single-storey dwelling was well involved when firefighters arrived to the blaze that started from a bar heater. What started as a typical Sunday night that included church followed by a family meal quickly turned to tragedy for a family living in a Pomona Street rental property. The fire struck around 9 p.m. and was caused by a bar heater.
Those small 2-bar heater, and that's the only heating we have here. Apart from that, the night store doesn't work. And we tried to use the fireplace one time, and fire just jumped out, so we turned it off. So we bought this new small bar heater.
A working smoke alarm gave the first indication something was wrong.
We were having dinner right at that time at the back, and my granddaughter just probably heard the alarm and ran to the front room, and she came back crying and calling there's a fire in our room. So I tried to run inside the room and see what I can do, but we were late. Fire probably started maybe 5 minutes before that, and he couldn't do anything much. So all I have to do is grab my children, my wife, and try to take it out.
Desperate to protect his wife's health, he re-entered the room to try and save her life-giving dialysis machine, but was struck down by the heat of the fire.
She was supposed to go on the machine last night, and she was at the back getting ready to go on the machine, but that's it, it's gone.
The heat and smoke so intense, he was forced to crawl from the room, leaving the dialysis machine to the fate of the fire. The fire's speed was evident, causing major damage between its discovery and the arrival of 4 appliances and firefighters.
Very fast. I thought the fire brigade people would get here before it reached the lounge at the back where we were having dinner, but fortunately, no. All the TVs all burned down and other stuff.
The shock and remains of the fire have left the tenants shaken.
I'm a counsellor. I counsel people. They come to me for help, I talk to them. But it's my turn. Don't know who to turn to. I can talk to my wife, but who I'm going to talk to? So it's very, 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 very sad moment in our life. And we nearly lost everything except for the fridge and the freezer. Apart from that, a few clothes left, but we're trying to see where we can go from here.
Do you have insurance?
No. Sorry, I don't have that.
The 3 adults normally living at the property are now forced to rebuild a life elsewhere, but are lucky to be alive. 2 people were taken to Southland Hospital for smoke inhalation, but have since been discharged. The fire service is urging people to remember the metre heater fire rule and to check fire alarms are operational. Margot Sutherland, South Today News. The South Island Dairy Event, or SIDE, got underway in the city this morning. For 3 days, the 550 delegates will hear from industry leaders, network and attend workshops. Chair of the event's organising committee, Paul Marshall, says the theme for this year's conference is riding the economic dairy wave, brought on by fluctuating international prices. Hunter Andrews spoke to him earlier today.
First and foremost, the theme of the conference is riding the wave, and we've come off a very high payout, so that's the crest of the wave. We're forecasting next year, Fonterra's forecast payout, opening indication is $7. So we've come off that crest a bit, and there's a general feeling among our delegates. The thing that's resonated among our delegates is the need to build resilient businesses that can actually thrive with payouts not quite as high as we've had. So risk management is critical.
How do you manage those risks effectively? As you said, it is a wave up and down.
Yeah. Effective management starts with identifying what those risks are. And so that's what the risk management sessions and business side particularly have been about today. Tomorrow we're talking about the risk risk mitigation strategies that you can have around changing the structure of your businesses. And so we were speaking before about governance, and that's where that comes in.
It's an evolutionary process. How different do dairy farms and the management side of them look from, say, now and 15 years ago? What evolution has the industry been through?
I think what we've got is a much stronger emphasis on corporate farming. Family farming is now much more business-based, still the core part of the industry. And the biggest change, I think, in dairy is that 50-50 share milking is no longer seen as a particularly common configuration. Contract milking is much more to the fore.
I think that Fonterra announced last year, I think even 90% of the waterways now were fenced. There's that environmental, addressing of the environmental impact. It is a high priority, isn't it?
Oh, it's huge. I think we're up to 96% now, and farmers are the original environmentalists. Not only do we work on the land, we live there. It's where we've raised our families. Our commitment to the environment is absolute.
One of 2014's biggest mail-outs started today as the Electoral Commission launched its campaign to make sure all eligible New Zealanders are ready to take part in the 2014 general election on September 20th. Over 3 million enrolled voters are being sent an enrolment update pack this week. People who do not receive their enrolment update pack by Friday the 27th of June will need to complete a new enrolment form. New enrolments or changes to existing enrolments can be completed online at www.elections.org.nz or at any post shop. Stay with us, still to come on the bulletin, Matariki at the museum, and hundreds of chickens are rehomed. Welcome back. Environmentally friendly fashion was on show at the Invercargill Workingmen's Club on Friday night in the city. The fashion show and competition was coordinated by the Invercargill Environment Centre and included two sections, restyled and upcycled fashion. The restyled fashion section aimed to show people how well dressed they can be by shopping at local second-hand stores. The upcycled fashion section was open to all ages and showcased fashion made from recycled materials only. Entrants were judged on how entrants creatively used materials, overall aesthetic, fashion appeal, wearability and construction. Prizes and certificates were awarded to the winners on the night. The Great Chicken Rescue went off without a hitch at the weekend as members of the Invercargill Vegan Society travelled to Dunedin to rescue hundreds of chickens. There were 3,000 chickens needing new homes following the closure of an egg farm near Mosgiel. On Saturday, volunteers from the Southland Vegan Society collected in excess of 300 hens and transported them to their new homes in Invercargill in a rented truck and trailer unit. Group spokesperson Jordan Wyatt says there were a small number of casualties during the operation, but a vast majority are now with their new owners and are adjusting to life away from the confines of their previous home. Local Forest and Bird spokesperson Chris Henderson is applauding the formation of a new climate voter initiative that's encouraging people to examine the global warming policies of political parties before casting their vote this September. The campaign's being run by a non-partisan alliance of six of New Zealand's biggest not-for-profit organisations: Greenpeace, Oxfam, Generation Zero, 350 Aotearoa, Forest and Bird and WWF.
I'm heartened by the fact that there's so much support, and people like the Greenpeace and all these other groups, they've been working with it for years. Our local community group, which is against lignite briquette plant, it's recognised that we cannot afford to have the climate heat up any more than it is now. 2 degrees is where the water starts becoming problematical. I mean, these are life and death issues, and it has to be taken seriously.
Most political parties now have a policy on it. I think ACT is the only one really that says why should we be doing something when the rest of the world appears not to be. So, I mean, this is across the board, isn't it? This is just telling people to have a look, whether they're a National voter, Labour voter, Green voter, just have a look.
It transcends all parties, but the other thing is that ACT, if it doesn't have a policy, might have to look to renaming itself In Action, because they're going to be so discredited along with the climate apologists who've come to this way, like Lord Monckton They'll be out in the cold. I think they'll be the ones who were the villagers telling Noah that it wasn't going to rain, and when it did rain, of course, they got drowned.
And of course we're getting world leaders, Obama in particular, President Obama, saying this is the key issue confronting humankind in the foreseeable future.
If his legacy is nothing else, it was that pronouncement and the follow-through, and maybe the rest of his life's work will be helping us to save ourselves and everything that is part of the world we love. And so his legacy would live on. And it was such a breakthrough to get him to say that. Just needs the Republicans and all the other groups in America to get behind him now, because a lot of people will be very happy to really get that happening.
And I guess if those parties haven't got their environment policies out, people will be watching in the lead up to the election to see just how far they're keen to go to help alleviate the problem.
Because although election cycles are only 3 years, the implications are medium and long term for our children and our children's children. And so the decisions we make this election will have huge ramifications, hopefully for good, in our low carbon future, but if they're not, then we have a lot to be concerned about. So let's follow Obama's lead and get stuck in.
An art display by local school children is featuring works inspired by the Southland Museum and Art Gallery's Education Department. Artwork created by Southland school children during Learning Outside the Classroom, or LEOTC, is on display in the Community Gallery and features works with nautical and animal themes. LEOTC contributes to curriculum-related programs run by a range of community-based organisations and are designed to enhance classroom learning. The hands-on interactive experiences for students inspire their minds with history and knowledge of Aotearoa, and as demonstrated in this display, create inspirational art. The celebration of Matariki, or the Māori New Year, is underway, and one of the first events was the Matariki Short Film Festival held at the Southland Museum and Art Gallery over the weekend. The film festival's program included a diverse range of themes, with 6 short films shown to enthusiastic audiences during the weekend's 4 screenings on Saturday and Sunday. Tiki Tane starred in Baby Steps, a 9-minute film in which Tane plays Joe, a tough guy trying to come to grips with fatherhood. Another film featured Lawnmower Men, tells the humorous tale of rival lawn mowing uncles who seem to be ignoring family pleas for them to do their bit around the marae. Matariki celebrations in the south continue for a month. That's it from us. Coming up on Sport tonight, post-match reaction from the All Blacks series win. That's after the weather next. From the news team, good night.